Good morning, gentlemen. I'm back and I'm going to talk to you on some very interesting topics, basically concerning Donald Trump, India, Gaza, and the world. Now, I think Trump is under some misconceptions, or maybe he's fighting against time. I really can't say, but I can only judge what things are happening. Now, Donald Trump became the president in 2024 after being 4 years in the wilderness. And this was a time, I think, of introspection for him when he realized that the butter is always on the bread when you want to put it. And if there's no butter on it, nobody gives you any importance. And I think the first experience he had with this was with Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi actually was a great friend of Donald Trump, and during the first tenure when he was the president of America. And after that, he just dropped him like a hot potato. Now, this is a misconception in Modi because by that time, within 4 years, when Donald Trump was absent, no Modi felt his stature has gone up considerably, and most of it was inflated by the press, which went on talking that he's a Vishav Guru and he's a Vishav Mitra or something like that. And net result, he was always feeling, well, I am now one of the great leaders of the world. So these are the first signs of Bacon's famous quote, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts even more, absolutely. So I think that's about say what it is. Modi over the period became very powerful, and then of course this is not a thing I'm going to go in because my concentration is on Donald Trump. All I'll say is that he misjudged Donald Trump greatly, who was very hurt with the behavior of Mr. Modi, who firstly, as I told you earlier, didn't meet him when he had come to the United States and met only Biden and Kamala Harris and went away. When Donald Trump has officially announced, and Modi had said that he would meet Trump, and Donald Trump had told to the press that Modi, my friend, is going to come and meet me, and Modi didn't meet him. So there were a number of events continued, and finally we had that famous scrap which India had with Pakistan, and it was named Operation Sindoor, after the Sindoor which the Hindu brides use. But that was a big fiasco, and that is the time when really Modi started falling down. He fell down like a ton of bricks. First of all, it was wrong to make the attack. Secondly, having made the attack, there's no call for having a ceasefire without achieving the political aim. And thirdly, whatever the reasons, I think indirectly or vicariously, Donald Trump had in the ceasefire, and when Donald Trump claimed that he had engineered the ceasefire, I think Modi was incensed. That's the only word I can take off. He should have just kept quiet and not said anything. But he was making vociferous speeches in Parliament and everywhere else that nobody had a hand in the ceasefire. And what he was getting out of it, I couldn't understand. I mean, the art of politics, and particularly in foreign politics, to placate the opponent so that he becomes a supporter. But here he made Donald Trump into an enemy. And then, of course, India was thinking that we will have the trade in watertight compartments. You can't have that. He said agriculture would be out of bounds. How can you do that? And he was putting 200 and 150% duty on American cars and motorbikes. And he was expecting that India will be putting only should only have to pay 15 or 20% tariff. It doesn't happen like that. And Donald Trump was, as I told you, a little infuriated with the behavior of Modi. In contrast, look at the way Pakistan went about it. The Pakistan leadership, led by General Munir and the Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, supplicated them before Donald Trump, and he felt that these people are my supporters. They made Donald Trump look like a very big godfather, and that is precisely how he went about it. And net result was that Pakistan came to the good books of the United States. And let's accept the fact that for 6 years no Pakistani leader had entered the White House. And this time, 3 times the Pakistan leaders have entered the White House. General Munir is the recipient, of an invitation for lunch with the president. And that was the time I think he had called Modi also, who was on his way back from Toronto. And Modi, thinking he was a Bishop Guru, a much greater man than Donald Trump, refused the invitation. That is a stark contrast of what I must say is the truth. And he went to attend some Jagannath Yatra or something like that, and I don't think Donald Trump took it lightly. And now India is on the back foot. I mean, the Indians have gone running to China, I mean, how China is really going to help you? China is your enemy. And Donald Trump probably must be thinking that whatever happens, I now cannot countenance India. He's not really scared of India, He once made a statement, that if India wants to go and have a relationship with Russia, well, both are failed economies, they can do it. He's not bothered. I think he's bothered a little about China. That's the only country he's bothered. Because China has got military might and economic might, while India has got nothing. That is the problem. And I think that is where Modi tripped. And now Modi is sitting here when the United Nations General Assembly meeting was going on. So it's a sad thing that the Bishop Guru didn't go there when he was all the time eager to go abroad. I mean, he made close to about 98, 99 visits abroad during 11 years and about 12 times to America. And I think he's got nothing to show when only one country supported India and condemned Pakistan for the terrorist attack in Pahalgam out of 193. Economically also, he has not been lifted India out of the morass like China. And India at the moment, despite all talk of 4 trillion economy and all that, which is basically only on the population, the per capita income India stands at 143 out of 193, and Indians are not getting food to eat. I mean, good food, the amount of protein you require. I was going through a census report where I found that 51% of the report says of the Indian women are anemic, and most of the children are not getting enough of protein. No wonder you have no grassroots physical support, health, and from there only grows the pyramid and you have the medals, the Olympics and all that. And that is why India doesn't win a single gold medal in the Olympics and China wins 100. Gentlemen, the people who are showering accolades on Modi must also be realistic. I find some very famous people who are having channels which are having millions of viewers, just don't bring out the truth. And the truth is very bitter. You can't just keep saying India has put America on the back foot, somebody says, and another channel I was reading, Donald Trump, dar gaya India say. All this is so silly that I really started giving a go-by to this. Now, Trump is actually facing a great danger, let me tell you this. Despite his antagonism to India, overall he antagonized a lot of people, but he's doing it the way he sees is right. And the first thing he has done is to attack BRICS. Now, India is in a confused state, doesn't know whether to go with BRICS and whether not to go with BRICS. And I thought Jaishankar was a very, very astute politician, but I'm sorry to say, I think he doesn't know which way the bread is buttered, which side it is buttered. In the recent meeting in the United Nations, which he attended on behalf of Modi, he called a meeting of the BRICS foreign ministers. It was chaired by India, and that meeting included countries like China and Brazil, which Donald Trump is not going to accept it. And he cut his own boots, India's boots, by making such a thing. I have not been able to understand what was his line of action. Confrontation with America, what was he thinking? or he must have wanting to show that he is also a bishop guru or something. I think you angels tread in where devils and bad men fear to tread. I mean, that's, I think, a quotation. So it's a sad occurrence, I would say, that he held this meeting. And now Donald Trump, I think, is also in trouble because he must be wondering what's going on. Because now the biggest defeat which he has suffered is the recognition of the state of Palestine by close allies like Canada, the France and England, Australia. They've recognized the Palestine state. And I think Hamas, in a way, is correct because there can be no recognition of a state which sponsors terrorism. And Palestine, that is the Gaza Strip, is sponsoring terrorism against Israel. I think there was a statement made somewhere that the Israelis killed 65,000 in lieu of 1,500 Israelis being killed. Now, that is not the point. The numbers have no meaning. The question is the embryo, the seed. Now, look at the way the Hamas had planned the attack. It was so ferocious, and they followed none of the canons of warfare, which is chivalry. Took hundreds of Israelis as hostage, and it was barbarism at the worst. Because I've seen videos where the men were shouting, "Capture the women, kill the men." I'm not a supporter of Israel killing 65,000, which is wrong. But everything has to be in perspective. What did the Arab world and the others do to stop Hamas? I think the whole thing could have been nipped in the bud after this has happened. The hostages had been released and Hamas chastised, but Hamas was crowing that this is victory. And when you crow victory by taking women as hostages, I don't think such a group deserves any mercy. And it's a sad point that finally at least some people are realizing this. But the point which I'm making again is that Donald Trump is now feeling isolated, and that is because of his own going. He first went and claimed Greenland, which is again a very stupid thing to do. And then he was saying Canada is the 51st state, antagonize the Canadians. He put 35% tariff on Canada, like he has put 50% on India, now 100% tariff as far as pharmaceuticals are concerned. India, of course, is a poor country, and it doesn't matter to them, they'll become poorer still. And the Indian leadership is not really interested, I think, in this sort of a thing. I wonder if Modi is thinking about the millions of people who have been left jobless, destitute with the sanctions which have been put on India. And he has not been able to explain why he went to China after 6 years. Another thing which we must remember is he did go only half the way. That is his problem. If you want to go to China, you go completely, have the border settlement, and then he should have attended the military parade there. He didn't do that. And he went to China after visiting Japan, where he had a meeting of the Quad. Now, India has been a lukewarm member of the Quad. What does it mean? Lukewarm means they're not enthusiastic about it at all. Because the military aspects of Quad is totally ignored by India. I think these all things went in the mind of Donald Trump, And Trump is now touting that he's going to have a ceasefire in Hamas. He says a solution has been hammered out. I think, as usual, he has chickened out. This is what I've told a number of times, and in my earlier videos I've said that Donald Trump can roar like a lion, but he can't bite like a lion. So when it comes to biting the meat or firing the bullet, that is where he fails. These are hard facts, gentlemen, but they are the truths. And now I don't know what's going to happen because I'm pretty sure that Hamas is not going to accept the deal which has been made by Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure about it. There's nothing, not doubt in my mind. And the European powers, actually, we shouldn't really bother about whether France is recognizing, or England is recognizing, or Canada is recognizing, or not recognizing the two-state solution, because there's no two-state solution. I'll tell you why. Because Hamas doesn't want it. They want that Israel should be wiped out of the map. And they have their benefactor in Iran, which wants the same thing. And it's not going to happen that way. And I think this proposal of Donald Trump is going to collapse, like his Ukraine attempts is collapsed. And now he's giving all sorts of weapons to Ukraine and hoping that they'll win the war. He's again living in a dream world, and that dream world is that I should go and get the Bagran base in Afghanistan. Now, I don't know what is he thinking really. Is it going to be so easy? Afghanistan, hostile country, ruled by the Taliban, and is it possible for the Americans in isolation to have the Bagran base unless you make friends with the Taliban, recognize it? And if you do that, it means the entire policy, which for years together has been followed by America, had sieves, holes in it, and it's got hold no water. I think that is one of the reasons he's playing host to Pakistan, One is, of course, to spite India, because that is a very childish thing what he's doing. And the second is that Pakistan will help him to get the Bagran base. I don't know how he's formed such conclusions. And this, during his first term, he was more balanced. He had condemned Pakistan for terrorist acts, and he had said very clearly at that time that Pakistan is the epicenter of terror, and they are running with the hare and hunting with the hound. And the Haqqani faction, as far as Pakistan is concerned, was ensuring that many Americans were being killed all over. And that is one of the very saddest things. But he's turned turtle now. He's turned and says Pakistan is his friend. He said General Munir is a great man. Now Munir is, as a general, I think I have no knowledge about him. I'm a soldier myself. He's a good man, looks smart, he's handsome, but his, I think, thinking as a general of the Pakistan army is a little cockeyed. That's the word I have to use for it. His thinking is based on Islamism. And the Pakistan army, which had a tradition of being secular, because it's part of the British Indian Army basically, and the Muslim regiments fought under the aegis of the British Indian Army, and then became the Pakistan Army in 1947, have jettisoned, the secular outlook of the army. And General Munir's last speech at the Overseas Conference of Pakistanis, where he had said that Hindus and the Muslims cannot live together, was absolutely absurd. See, a man who has a wider horizon doesn't go around talking nonsense like this. I think he's got no horizon. There are some of his supporters in Pakistan who want to look at the positive side of what he's doing. And I, as a Indian, have not seen any positive side on him. I think he's playing into the hands of Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi is putting in a policy of